Happening now, human remains discovered. We dive deeper into the bones found on a Chautauqua County farm. And reapportionment continues in Jamestown. Our team explains how this process could impact your vote at the ballot box. Plus, the wool that heals arrives in our region today. A look at the communities ready to welcome the mobile memorial.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
Thank you for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould, and sad to report, it's happened again. Another mass shooting at an American school. At least 19 children and 2 adults were killed yesterday when a gunman opened fire at an elementary in Texas. Many more were injured before law enforcement shot and killed the suspect. Today, some parents are still praying for a miracle, waiting to find out about their child's whereabouts, as we're all asking why. Mike Valerio has the latest from the scene.
I see this in the news somewhere else, but not here, but it is happening here.
Just 2 days before the end of the school year, a teenage gunman turned a Texas elementary school into a scene of carnage.
To lose a child is like having a piece of your soul ripped away.
Parents in the small community of Uvalde waited in anguish late into the night for news of their children, some telling CNN they had to give DNA samples to help authorities identify them.
We don't know a list of who's gotten flown out. Tell us where my daughter's at.
Among those killed, according to her aunt, Eva Morales, a 4th grade teacher and educator for 17 years, and 10-year-old Amarillo Garza, whose father confirmed her death early this morning on Facebook.
I'm furious because there's now 18 or more families in Texas that are about to enter a new nightmare.
Authorities say the 18-year-old suspected gunman shot his grandmother before driving to rob elementary school and slaughtering innocent children and their teachers.
The suspect did crash near a ditch here nearby the school. That's where he exited his vehicle with, I believe it was a rifle. Unfortunately, he was able to enter the premises.
While authorities search for a motive, this town and this country are grieving another senseless mass shooting. In Uvalde, I'm Mike Valerio.
And why? That's the question President Joe Biden, along with many other Americans, are asking in the wake of this devastating elementary school shooting. President Biden once again called on Congress last night to pass sensible gun legislation, noting that when the assault weapons ban was passed, mass shootings went down. And when the law expired, he says mass shootings tripled. Here at home, a city of Jamestown man has been sentenced in connection with a home break-in and vehicle theft. The Chautauqua County District Attorney's Office announced yesterday 28-year-old Cody DiDomenico was convicted of felony grand larceny and felony attempted burglary in connection with a residential break-in in May 2021. The DA's office says after posting bail connected to the crime, DiDomenico was caught stealing another victim's vehicle in June of that year. At the time, he was charged with another felony offense. As a result of this conviction, DiDomenico will serve 1.5 to 3 years in state prison on the grand larceny charge and 3 years behind bars on the attempted burglary charge, plus 5 years of parole. An investigation continues today after human remains believed to be a century or more old were discovered on a Chautauqua County farm. WNY News Now's Julia Gress has the latest from DeWittville.
We are not anticipating this being a crime scene, but we are treating it as a crime scene until we can rule everything out.
Sheriff Quattrone says contractors installing a septic system for a new house on Country Air Farms in DeWittville made the find on Tuesday afternoon.
Upon our arrival, our officer's arrival, there was a skull and some other human remains, mainly bone fragments that were found where they were doing the digging. The skull was approximately 3 feet under the ground.
The Mercyhurst Forensic Anthropology Department is now assisting the law enforcement agency in determining the age of the remains, which are likely part of an old gravesite.
As this is the site of the old county farm, and so it could be back into the mid-1800s to the mid-1900s. And just a short distance from the location is a potter's field where many of the residents that used to stay on the county farm have been buried.
The property was once the county poorhouse and an insane asylum, where nearby towns would send the unwell and unfortunate.
We'll be discussing this with the district attorney, going through, but likely we would probably rule out the criminal behavior due to the age of the skull, the property, the history of the property.
Nevertheless, the sheriff's office is doing their due diligence to make sure the find isn't connected to one of the many missing persons cases in the county.
Unfortunately, as we know, there's been too many missing people that have not been located, and we want to be able to make sure that that's not related to any of our missing people in the county or missing people throughout the states.
Julia Gress, WNY News Now.
Julia, thank you. We'll, of course, continue to follow this for developments and post updates online at WNYNewsNow.com and in our free mobile app available now in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. The number of those unemployed here in Chautauqua County slightly decreased last month. Figures released by the New York State Labor Department this week indicate the county's jobless rate fell to 3.7% in the month of April. This is the lowest rate the county noted since last fall. This new rate is lower than the statewide figures reporting unemployment at 4.5%. As of now, the Department of Labor believes more than 900 are employed versus April 2021. Well, let's switch gears now and get a first check of our weather forecast. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter standing by with that. And you have great news to report today, Dakota, as another beautiful one pretty much on tap for us, it looks like.
It's going to be another nice day out there, and it's going to be another mainly dry day. You can see from the Randolph Peaches and Cream Skycam overlooking Whedon Park. You can see just a few of those wispy clouds in the sky right now. And yeah, we are going to see some clouds and sunshine through the afternoon hours. This is, again, the high-res satellite imagery, and again you can kind of see how there's almost like a little dome where there's not really much cloud cover, but again we are starting to see some of these clouds surging on in, so expect a mix of clouds and sunshine through the afternoon hours. 68 was the high yesterday. That was right at the forecasted high. Speaking of which, we started the day at 55, 90, and 28 are the records. So through the afternoon, sun and clouds will share the afternoon sky. Milder day, but the humidity is in check, so it's not going to be a humid day out there. 68 to 76 with a south wind. Now the humidity is going to increase along with the temperatures by the time we go into Memorial Day. We will talk about it with that Ultimate Satellite Solutions 7-day forecast later on in the show. Justin.
All right, Dakota, we'll see you back in just a little bit. Thank you. As our show continues, why New York's History Regents exam has been called off this summer. But first, a look at the reapportionment process here in Jamestown, how this could impact your vote in our local election. Stay with us. WNY News Now. We'll be right back.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Celebrate the end of school and say hello to summer with a day of fun activities for children in the Jamestown area, hosted by Collaborative Children's Solutions and the City of Jamestown. The first part of the day happens at Northwest Arena, where both kids and parents alike can learn about activities available to you. Later in the evening, finish out the night at the Tarp Skunk baseball game, along with a fireworks show at Russell Dietrich Jr. Park. Stop on down on Friday, June 24th, as we celebrate the end of school and say hello to summer.
Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now.
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones, because fire is everyone's fight.
This message was brought to you by the Jamestown Fire Department and the Chautauqua Safety Village.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
The Jamestown Reapportionment Commission has started the process of redrawing City Council ward boundary lines. Our Bronson Rasmussen has more from the newsroom today.
Known as reapportionment, the process happens every 10 years following the U.S. Census. The group is tasked with proposing new ward boundary lines with the goal of getting an even number of voters within each ward.
We had the benefit of a couple different maps, sample maps to look at tonight.
The proposed new maps were shown to the committee and come with some positives and negatives. Some members, like Ward 2 Councilman and Council President Tony Dulce, who says that some people might get confused about what ward they are in. Others, like Ward 1 Councilman Brent Sheldon, believe the changes are too drastic.
We also discussed sort of pros and cons about is now the time to be considering moving from 6 wards, as we currently have, down to 5, and we spent a fair amount of time discussing the pros and cons along those lines.
Because of changes in population, the committee will have to change the ward boundaries to meet new standards. While the state allows up to a 5% difference in population, the local commission would like to see the difference be within 1% or less. The committee plans to meet next week for a more in-depth look at the potential changes.
Our next opportunity to look at the maps, we're going to try to hone in with greater detail on what the proposed changes might look like neighborhood to neighborhood.
Based on the latest census numbers, most wards have seen population shifts, with the largest being Ward 1 losing 254 residents. On the city's northeast side, others that saw a decrease in population include Ward 6, with a loss of 197 residents on the southeast side of town. Wards 2, 4, and 5 all saw increases in residents, with each gaining 136, 161, and 151 respectively. Meanwhile, Ward 3 noted a very small change, with an increase of just 5 residents. Once a map is chosen, there will be a vote on if it should be recommended to the City Council, who has final approval on the reapportionment process. In the newsroom, Bronson Rasmussen, WNY News Now.
Thank you, Brunson. A U.S. history and government exam for New York high school students has been canceled in the wake of the racist shooting at a Buffalo supermarket over concerns that material on that test could compound student trauma. The state's Regents exam has been scheduled for June 1st, but a review of the content following the May 14th shooting found the tragedy in Buffalo had created an unexpected and unintended context for the planned assessment. As a result, officials feel it's not appropriate to administer this exam with a question that could compound the grief and hardship faced by school communities. 10 people, all of them black, were killed in the Tops Friendly Market when a white 18-year-old opened fire there. 3 others were injured. Funerals for those victims have been taking place this week. In New York, students are required to pass a Regents exam in certain subjects in order to get their diploma. The Department of Education will be asking the Board of Regents to approve a graduation exemption for students who would have been scheduled to take this exam in June and August of this year and in January of 2023. A new law in New York State gives sexual assault survivors a 1-year window to bring claims against abusers, setting aside a statute of limitations for civil lawsuits. Advocates praised the Adult Survivors Act, which was signed into law yesterday by New York Governor Kathy Hochul. It mirrors the 2019 Child Victims Act, which expands the statute of limitations in child sex abuse cases to give survivors more time to sue their abusers. This law applies to survivors of sexual offenses that occurred when they were over the age of 18, with the one-year window beginning 6 months from the bill's signing and allowing claims regardless of the statute of limitations. Lawmakers and advocates said that, like the Child Victims Act legislation, the new law is intended to help survivors who kept sexual abuse secret for years beyond the statute of limitations out of shame and fear. Well, allergy season, it's here. And if you suffer from seasonal symptoms, the familiar sneezes and sniffles are probably back. But just as allergy season approaches, COVID-19 cases, they're continuing to tick up here locally too. Erie News Now's Kristen Allen tells us how to distinguish the difference.
Seasonal allergies or COVID-19 symptoms? That's the big question a lot of us are asking ourselves as the pollen comes out and COVID cases tick up locally. Those of us who suffer every spring can predict when our symptoms will start.
Influenza, the common cold, RSV, all are seasonal. So they have predictable patterns that we tend to see when it's endemic. So when there's not any surprises or new strains or anything.
COVID-19 surges are still more sporadic.
COVID-19 is not seasonal right now. We are seeing ebbs and flows that align with big gathering events.
So as the start of summer holidays are on the horizon, how do you distinguish if your symptoms are the result of ragweed and pollen or due to COVID-19? Experts like Dr. Becky Dawson say there's really no way to completely rule out the virus unless you get tested.
It's impossible to tell by how you're feeling. You really need that test to confirm.
And as Erie County reaches a high level of community spread once again, it's important to stop symptomatic spread if you can.
This is the new normal. This is how we are going to move forward because we can't control asymptomatic spread, but we can stop chains of transmission when they're made kind of visible to us and we know they exist.
Kristen Allen, Erie News Now.
Coming up, the latest steps to address healthcare worker shortages in nursing homes across our region. And later, the wall that heals, it arrives today. We check in with the Mobile Memorial's journey. But first, when we return, a full look at our weather forecast. And I hear we're going to get a little peek at that Memorial Day weekend, too. Stay with us.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
How prepared is your family if a hurricane shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a blizzard? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to Ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Fast, accurate, and everyday. First Defense Weather.
Well, welcome back, everybody. And this was well needed yesterday. Some needed tranquility of the sun going down over the countryside in Irving. So if you got out and saw the sunset yesterday, it was magnificent. But we've got some good sunshine downtown right now from the HD News Now cam. We're at 65 as of noon hour. It's a little bit breezy with that south wind of 12, and we have a wind gust at 18 miles an hour. So it is a little bit breezy out there. So today would be a nice day to hit the links if you do have a tee time today. 71 at 2 o'clock, 73 at 4, and 71 at 6. Moderate humidity, but notice the wind. So as golfers know, pull back a little bit on the club when the wind is shooting from the south and if you're hitting to the north. Obviously, that'll carry your ball further. So we stay dry for today. Rain and storms arrive for tomorrow through Friday. Memorial Day is looking nice, warm, but a little bit humid. And here comes that summer heat. So let's talk about it. We've been mentioning this throughout all of this week, how there's going to be a big surge of warmer air coming on in. So all the reds and the oranges and even this dark pink area you see right here is favoring above average temperatures by the time we go into Memorial Day. And you're going to see it on the 7-day here in just a minute here. High pressure scooting on out. All of this is going to be arriving by the time we go through tomorrow. So let's show it to you on the newest run of the computer modeling. We are going to stay dry for today, but notice the clouds starting to come on in through the afternoon hours. So we'll call it partly sunny on average. Partly to mostly cloudy through the overnight hours tonight. Tomorrow we start dry. The better chance of showers is going to be in the afternoon hours. There could be a couple embedded thunderstorms within some of that, but we do think most of it will be rain. The better chance of rain arrives on Friday as a cold front approaches. That'll bring us the better chance for more widespread rain. So we start tomorrow around 58, partly to mostly sunny. Noon hour, we still should be dry. The better chance of rain from about 1 o'clock to about through the evening hours on Thursday. Next 7 days, powered by Ultimate Satellite Solutions. So there you see the Friday with the cold front, 71, cold front, a few storms, a few showers for Saturday, but not a total washout. Look at Sunday, 75, partly to mostly sunny. And how about Memorial Day? Sunny, 84, and we're going to continue to get warmer and even more humid, Justin, by next Tuesday.
All right.
Mid-80s possible.
Yeah, summer really settling in. Your texts are getting steamy for sure. Thank you, Dakota. Around the nation now, and opinions of the U.S. Supreme Court have headed south since the leak of the draft opinion that resulted in the overturning of could result in the overturning of Roe v. Wade. That's according to a poll by Marquette Law School, which released today, that 54% of Americans say they disapprove of the High Court. That's a flip from the last time this survey was taken, just 2 months ago in March, where 54% of Americans polled said they approved of the court. A new survey was taken a week after the court's draft opinion went public. Well, according to the Pennsylvania Health Care Association, the long-term care industry in the Commonwealth has lost nearly 20% of its workforce since the start of the pandemic. In Harrisburg yesterday, long-term care professionals and advocates spoke up about the workforce crisis and how it's impacting their ability to care for the state's most vulnerable. Pennsylvania has suffered a net loss of 10 nursing homes since the start of the pandemic, and advocates say more will follow suit if they don't receive funding. The General Assembly has to approve the state budget by July 1st, and advocates say the fiscal budget can help determine the future of long-term care in PA. They're also calling for $294 million to increase in Pennsylvania's Medicaid reimbursement. They say that reimbursement rate falls short of the actual cost of care and has not increased since 2014.
But if we don't get the increased funding, you're going to see a lot of nursing homes close, and our elderly population is kind of going to be on their own because there's not going to be long-term care in the future.
Advocates say if Medicare reimbursement would be increased, it would help raise wages and recruit a larger workforce and make necessary investments to advance care. Well, international relation experts say the war in Ukraine could have its own implications in another region of our world, the Indo-Pacific. Our Washington, D.C. correspondent Rachel Knapp explains.
As the war in Ukraine continues, congressional members and international relations researchers are turning their attention to another region, the Indo-Pacific.
Rise in commodity prices in particular has led to fiscal, food, and energy security concerns, and these in turn could have political implications and could create a strategic vacuum. A separate and longer-term economic impact of the crisis could be renewed calls, perhaps especially in India, for self-reliance and building resilience, not just against Chinese pressure, but also against Western sanctions.
Experts caution about China's growing influence in the region.
Beijing is watching and measuring the global response to Russian aggression. Over the last several years, and especially during this crisis, Russia and China have been learning from each other, both in terms of what they think works and what they think they can get away with. Their goal has been and continues to be to show that the United States and its partners, that their responses are insufficient, unpalatable, and unsustainable.
They worry Beijing could invade Taiwan, which would raise tensions between the U.S. and China, something Biden commented off the cuff about in his recent trip to Asia.
Are you willing to get involved militarily to defend Taiwan if it comes to that?
Yes.
The White House says there's been no change in official U.S. policy, reiterating the United States' commitment under the Taiwan Relations Act to provide Taiwan with the military means to defend itself. While experts say a Chinese invasion of Taiwan is the most obvious potential event to happen in the region, the U.S. should take a page from our own book on how we handled the Ukraine crisis and be prepared to respond immediately to any major event in the Indo-Pacific. At the Capitol, Rachel Knapp, reporting.
Rachel, thank you. Next, the wall that heals is making its way to Erie, PA today. And look at how communities in the region are preparing to say hello to this mobile Vietnam memorial.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights.
Vests.
please give us some room.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
When you need help,
It's our job
To help you.
to save you.
despite the danger.
This danger.
This danger is real.
Do your part.
Please
Slow down. Slow down. And move over.
move over.
When severe weather breaks, one team has you covered, tracking the storms as they happen. Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now.
Visit the Northwest Arena on Friday, June 24th, as we celebrate the end of school and say hello to summer. Learn about activities available to youth in the Jamestown area, plus end the night with fireworks at the Tarp Skunks game. Learn more online at ccsolutions716.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
The Wall That Heals is a replica of the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C., and is arriving in our region today. But before it sets up in Erie, Pennsylvania, opening for the Memorial Day weekend, communities along its route are getting ready to welcome the mobile memorial. Erie News Now's Lisa Adams checks in with one small town along the way.
With Memorial Day approaching, you can find signs of patriotism everywhere in Girard, from the lawn of the Borough Building to the American Legion Hall. People in Girard, though, will pause and take notice when the truck carrying the Wall That Heals passes through Wednesday afternoon, especially Vietnam-era veterans like Ron Olmsted.
I was only in a year during Vietnam, and I had to come home on a hardship discharge because my father had had a heart attack. But I had my orders for Thailand, and I'd been over there.
Ron returned to run the family business in Girard, but knows the pain of seeing fellow service members injured or lost.
And I had a lot of friends that went over there, and some of them got wounded, and a lot of them come back, and some of them didn't. So it's going to be an honor just to watch it go by today or tomorrow.
The replica Vietnam Memorial Wall moves in a well-marked 53-foot trailer. The panels bearing the names of the more than 58,000 men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice will be safe inside the truck. But the traveling exhibit will be hard to miss, especially with a color guard and hundreds of motorcycles ushering it in.
Girard Police and along with the fire department plan on assisting with the escort into town. I know the Girard American Legion has been planning for this and will be setting up flags along Main Street starting today.
Members of the American Legion and other volunteers will be lining Main Street here in Girard with American flags, especially in this triangle where the monument to soldiers and officers is located, and they're hoping for a big turnout of people to watch the wall pass by. Lisa Adams, Erie News Now.
Lisa, thank you for sharing that. Let us know what you think about this on social media at WNY News Now. And I think it is such an important thing to highlight, and really a valuable asset that the folks at Lilly Broadcasting are able to bring to our region. So veterans and the community alike can go there and really heal. And I think that's one of the big things that we've talked about all along, is this wall for many Vietnam vets who maybe couldn't make it to D.C., or maybe they have and they want to revisit it. Mm-hmm. And they can see this within our own community. So it certainly really is powerful.
Yeah, you know, I've mentioned on the show numerous times, I mean, you know, I don't think any of my family members served in Vietnam, but I know my grandfather served in World War II,
Right.
and I mean, it's just amazing that people will put up the ultimate sacrifice to fight for what's right, really.
Right, really, and that's what this whole weekend is all about, and it's a pleasure to be able to share those stories. Later this afternoon, actually, I'm going to talk with a few Vietnam vets from Chautauqua County who will be heading there, and I'll be traveling along with them on Friday. So certainly can't wait to see the wall and see them engage with it for sure. Well, that's it for us today. We'll leave you with this shot over Randolph. Have a great day.